operations is, so I don't make that same mistake twice, 16,000 barrels. Previously I gave a higher number, but that was the number from the water operations and the tank farm operations. So currently we're over 33,000 barrels recovered from the tank farm operation and 16,000 barrels recovered from the Houston Ship Channel operations. There was also a question yesterday about fish consumption advisories. Texas State Department of Health, let me make sure I'm right. The Department of State Health Services had an issue in place for fish consumption advisories prior to the incident, and there's been no new fish consumption advisories issued resulting from this incident that I'm aware of. There's a question about environmental impact yesterday. Environmental impact from this incident began last week, and it's been conducted more extensively every day upstream to find out the most upgradient impact area all the way down to the southernmost downstream area that could be potentially impacted. And then we look a little bit further just to make sure we're not missing something. We have aerial aircraft that fly, I believe it's twice a day, and assess that. We also have water resource units that are on the water performing on-the-ground assessments of the impacted areas. Our resources have increased every day on the water operation side. In the community air monitoring, we continue to have 24 hours a day air monitoring being done in the community downwind, in the vicinity, and in the projected downwind. So as of right now, the current winds are out of the east. So we have air monitoring units that are downwind, and later at the end of the day, the winds are going to be coming from the southeast heading northwest. So we've already staged air monitoring resources in the northwest of the incident just to monitor so that when the wind does shift, we're ahead of it and we're protecting the community. We haven't had any actionable detected concentrations that warranted any alert notifications to the citizens. All our communications are notified to Unified Command, to our local stakeholders, the local government, who make the determination the most appropriate course of action, shelter in place or an evacuation, whatever's required. Like I said before, there's been no reduction in response effort since we began this operation on March the 17th. We actually have increased the personnel. We're almost at the point where we have 1,000 personnel from multiple agencies, from ITC, TCEQ, Harris County, in the field continuously, not continuously, but the teams are continuously monitoring and protecting, and we have about 1,000 people that are performing all these duties. And lastly, I'd just like to just thank again the teamwork from our partners, TCEQ, Harris County, Texas Department of Health, ITC, the local governments. It's been extremely good communication and teamwork throughout, and it's very much appreciated. And the Coast Guard, I'm sorry, they're valuable to me. Coast Guard's going to come up next and kind of share a little bit more details about the water recovery operations and share that with you. Thank you.
Para los medios en español y la gente que nos está siguiendo en español esta conferencia de prensa, voy a darles un panorama de lo que dijo el señor Adam Adams de la Agencia de Protección Ambiental. La buena noticia es que no hay ningún nivel en este momento detectado que pudiera representar algún tipo de alerta o alarma para la población. Y también que los operativos de recuperación del producto siguen de manera positiva, de manera constante. Hasta este momento se han logrado recuperar del agua aproximadamente 16,000 barriles de producto y alrededor de 30,000 de la zona de los tanques. Estos datos verifican una información que se les dio ayer, que no era tan precisa. Esta información es precisa, es la información más reciente que tiene el Comando Unificado. La agencia del Departamento de Salud del Estado de Texas había emitido una alerta para que la gente no consumiera pescado, pero esta alerta, quiero aclarar, no se dio después de ocurrido el incidente. Esta es una alerta que surgió antes de que ocurriera el incidente, es decir, lo que ha sucedido en ITC no fue lo que detonó que las autoridades dieran esta alerta. La zona de los tanques está asegurada, siguen los trabajos de recuperación, de movimiento del producto en esa zona, y la recuperación sigue siendo prioridad en este operativo, por supuesto aunado con la seguridad de la población. Las autoridades están listas para realizar los monitoreos del aire. Se han hecho esta mañana en zonas considerando la dirección del viento que corre hacia el este, pero esta tarde el reporte es que los vientos serán hacia el suroeste y las autoridades de protección ambiental ya están preparadas con el equipo para monitorear el aire en cuanto cambie la dirección del viento.
Good morning. My name is Captain Rich House from the Coast Guard office here in Houston. I'll cover the status of recovery efforts on the water on the Houston Ship Channel in support of the EPA, the Federal On-Scene Coordinator. Yesterday, through the controlled movement of vessels through the affected area, we were able to move 10 deep draft vessels and 96 tug and tow vessels through the affected area of the Houston Ship Channel. Of those 106 vessels, only one vessel required some minor cleaning that was able to be done with hot water. No other vessels were affected that transited in and out of the area. The captain of the port in Houston has now made a decision to reopen the Houston Ship Channel from Tucker's Bayou to Light 116, Light 116, for vessel traffic inbound and outbound. Vessel traffic will be prioritized through what we call a port coordination team, which is an industry-led group of stakeholders and port partners. The vessels will be actually managed through our vessel traffic service in Houston. All vessels that transit in and out of any affected area will be visually inspected. And I should clarify that that opening is still restricted to daylight only, daylight hours only. As EPA mentioned, about 16,000 barrels of oily water mixture has been collected from various methods, skimmers, booms, sweeps, and that sort of thing, vessel skimming operations. In addition, over 50,000 feet of boom has been placed along different areas of the Houston Ship Channel in order to corral that product, but also to protect sensitive areas. So to conclude, I just want to thank the efforts of the Unified Command for all their support, and also our maritime port stakeholders and partners for ensuring that all the vessels and those folks on the water are safe, that we protect the environment as we get back to normal vessel traffic. And now I'll turn it over to TCQ for their brief. Thank you.
Brevemente les recapitulo lo que se acaba de decir. El canal de navegación se ha abierto de manera parcial y de manera controlado el tráfico por parte de la Guardia Costera de los Estados Unidos. Por ahora se han movido 10 barcos grandes, hay 96 unidades que jalan o que mueven estos barcos grandes. Solamente un barco grande ha tenido que ser limpiado de producto. El proceso de limpieza se hace con agua caliente, pero la Guardia Costera está inspeccionando cada uno de los navíos para asegurarse que están bien después de que circulan por esta parte del canal de navegación. 50,000 pies de boom se han colocado para contener lo que queda del producto, lo que todavía está en el agua. El boom es una especie de red para que se contenga el combustible en una misma zona y los equipos puedan recogerlo de manera más fácil.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Anthony Buck. I'm a Texas Commissioner on Environmental Quality. TCQs continue to work around the clock to provide real-time data to Unified Command and local government officials so they can provide accurate information to the public. TCQ teams and agency contractors have been combing the area with handheld monitors and taking water samples from the ship channel and Galveston Bay. TCQ surface water quality staff are finding the same type of chemicals that were in the damaged storage containers around ITC. Again, there are no drinking water intakes in the affected area. Airborne benzene levels surrounding the site remain low. TCQ readings at our CAM stations, our continuous air monitoring stations, early this morning show levels well below the detectable limit of 180 parts per billion. TCQ is overseeing the cleanup, and agency waste staff are reviewing the ITC plans to handle waste materials covered from the scene. As air monitoring and water quality data becomes available, TCQ is posting all those results on our website. And we have also created a separate ITC fire page where all of that data is found, and it's easily clicked on from our main website, which is tcq.texas.gov, G-O-V. Thank you.
Brevemente también lo que dice la agencia TCQ, siguen los trabajos de monitoreo en el agua en la zona de la bahía de Galveston. No hay riesgo para el consumo de agua por parte de la población. Los datos que se tienen de la calidad del agua y el aire están publicados en el sitio web de TCQ, tcq.tx.gov. El proceso de monitoreo, hay que aclararlo, el proceso de monitoreo del agua toma 2 días. Entonces, si la información que ven es de 2 días atrás, ese es el reporte más actualizado. No es que no se estén publicando datos nuevos o no se estén publicando las lecturas del día. El proceso de monitoreo toma aproximadamente 2 días, así que esos son los datos más actuales.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brent Weber of ITC and Incident Command. Unified Command remains in a proactive response mode. I'm proud to report we made good progress yesterday. Tank 80-10 is now secure. That's an important milestone for the remediation effort because it was the last of the pie gas tanks we were working to secure. Since that time, we've seen an improvement in air quality data around the affected area and in our surrounding communities. Today, we continue to focus on product removal out of the tank farm. We're actively pumping tank 80-13, and we have multiple resources being staged at the moment and plans being made to enter the tank farm containment area to be more aggressive in our recovery and remediation efforts. As Adam and the Coast Guard have mentioned, we have multiple resources mobilized along our ditches and our waterways, including Tucker Bayou and the ship channel, to continue that remediation process. I will reiterate once again that safety is our top priority, and we're trying to do all these objectives without impacting our community, our industrial partners, or the safety of our responders. Thank you.
Empiezo diciendo lo que comentó casi al último el jefe de comando de este incidente del Unified Command, que la seguridad de la población sigue siendo prioridad en este operativo, que mantiene una actitud proactiva por parte de la compañía y por parte de todos los grupos que están involucrados en esta operación. El tanque 8010 que contenía pie gas ya está seguro. Ahora las labores se han movido hacia el tanque 8013, desde donde se está sacando ahora producto para llevarlo a una zona segura, y la actividad para sacar todo el producto que queda en el parque de los tanques, que es donde están todos los tanques. Ya hay un plan para comenzar a realizar esa maniobra. Hay muchos equipos de limpieza trabajando y muchos recursos que se han puesto en este operativo, que sigue sin detenerse y seguirá hasta el final de esa manera.
City of Deer Park is continuing to monitor the situation. Daily, I am pleased to see the progress that's being made in regards to minimizing the risk to the public. From the City of Deer Park's perspective, safety is still my top priority. We're continuing to monitor the air and having our water tested to make sure there's no risk to public safety. Every day that I come out here, I see continuous levels of involvement with our responders that are continuing to work hard to make sure our safety is ensured. and any aspect of the information regarding the City of Deer Park, we're continuing to push that out on our website, and I would refer you to there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now we're going to take some questions, and what I would like to do is just, let's take a question and then move on to the next, and we will come back to you. We'll have about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to actually start with you, Deborah, if I may.
Okay, if I could ask, TCEQ within the EPA, the booms are out there. What I have been told is they're great for oil recovery, but some of the chemicals may weigh more than water. They may have become embedded in the sediment. Could you address that? And there would be contamination.
So we do have environmental assessment teams that are out. They started last week, and we're assessing the environmental impact from the incident continuously every day.
Could you address sediments, though? Were you testing sediments from the riverbed?
I don't have that information right now. I haven't had any reports of any impacts yet. So.
But you don't know if those have been tested.
Right. I don't have that information to answer. But I know we started our assessments last week, multiple agencies, and it's been every day since we started.
Would you advise people not to fish from that area? I know that they said there was a pre-existing ban, probably from a Superfund site.
It's actually from the Texas Department of State Health Services that issued fish consumption advisories actually several years ago, and it's continued.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Weber, Harris County has said that they don't think ITC did everything they could to prevent the fire and the spill. Does ITC have a response to that?
Please keep in mind this was an emergency situation. From the onset of the fire, ITC ERT members responded immediately as we notified both SEMA and our surrounding communities and municipalities for additional firefighting resources. And right now we're just focused on the recovery efforts.
Thank you.
There was some back and forth about how many of those tanks actually contain pygas. I know 80-3 initially we were told had toluene in it, and yesterday at some point it was said that 80-13 had pygas in it, and this morning you said you're pumping that one. So how many tanks had the pygas in it? Because that's the one that has the byproduct.
3 tanks.
3 tanks.
Yes. 4 tanks, I'm sorry. 80-7 is secure.
Okay.
80-10 is secure. 80-14 and 80-15, which are both secure.
And then 80-13 is toluene.
Toluene, yes.
However you say it.
Toluene,
Okay.
which is being pumped right now.
Where does the product remain in the ship channel and in the tank farm, and how much is left?
I will answer to the tank farm. I will have to have the Coast Guard or EPA answer for the ship channel. As you can imagine, there's extensive damage to many of the tanks. So a lot of the tanks and the flanges in the tank farm continue to leak into the containment area, and we continue to pump the containment area to a receiving vessel.
But do you have any estimate, like how many? I know before you had talked about inches in the containment area.
Well, in the containment area, along with the product, you also have the water and foam mix. Okay, so we make sure we keep a minimal level in the tank farm. We're continually pumping the tank farm out.
Well, how many tanks are left to be removed?
To be secured?
Yes.
Tanks, I'll just go tank by tank. 80-1, 80-2, 80-3, 80-4, 80-5, 80-6, 80-8, and then 13, which we're actively securing. Keep in mind that tanks 1, 4, and 11 have a much less hazardous material in them. It's called base oil, so it's not a threat from an emission standpoint to the community.
Thank you. And could the Coast Guard address?
Yeah, I got it. So as far as the water assessments in the impacted areas to the ship channel, so we have approximately 5 miles of non-continuous impacted areas. So that doesn't mean we have 5 miles of impacted areas. That means we have pockets over the distance of approximately 5 miles that have impacts to them. Some areas have large pockets of oil, like Tucker Bayou. That's a significant one that we're focusing on. And then we also have small pockets all across. And that changes based on the winds. The wind blows the oil, the current from the waters, that moves the oil as well. So we have a few significant pockets. The biggest one is Tucker Bayou. Then we have some smaller pockets, and then after that we just have some sheen areas. So roughly it's 5 miles non-continuous with focused pockets.
Can you say where to where? Sorry,
Okay,
that's
I'm
my-
gonna go. We'll come back to you if time. Right here, please.
So we've been told how much has been recovered of this product in the water thus far up to date. Do we know, and we asked at the last update, do we know how much of this product has flown from those offshore tanks into the water? And will we be able to quantify that? When will we have an update on how much?
Let me make sure I can have your question again. So you want to know of the recovered oily liquids?
No. We know how much has been recovered.
Yes, ma'am.
The question that we haven't had answered is how much has flown into the water?
Has flown into the water?
How much is in the water right now?
No, we don't. That's an estimated value. I don't have that.
When will we know?
I can't answer that. It's assessed continuously as the response moves forward.
What's your estimate though?
I don't have an estimate. We don't have, because of the slow, deliberative steps to secure the tank farm, detailed assessments of the volumes that were consumed during the fire or released during the fire or since the fire, those numbers are not concrete. So there's no way to give you an estimate. This is the approximate value that was in the ship channel. There's no way to do that.
All right, let me come here and then I'll go to Kevin next.
Yeah, we were receiving a lot of comments from our viewers in Deer Park yesterday about a strong smell again in the air in the afternoon. Mayor, did you receive a lot of complaints about that and figure out what was going on?
Even in any normal scenario outside of this incident, there's random times when we have smells. I would say that we're monitoring the air continuously, and there's been nothing that's even come close to registering any kind of action item from the city's perspective.
This is a question for the Coast Guard. The captain of the port has indicated that it might be the weekend at the earliest when the Houston Ship Channel is open and operating as normal. Can you confirm that? Can you comment when
Yeah, I'd say that we're making progress every day, and thank you for the question. We're making progress every day, and like I said, he did open that portion of the ship channel that was previously affected with restrictions, but it's still to daylight. So we still want to see, as those vessels go through, are they picking up any product? Is any product being moved along? We want to make sure we're not impacting the environment, and also we don't want to impact the responders that are on scene right now. And so that's going to be continually assessed, and as soon as we can reopen the ship channel to full traffic, we're going to do so.
How many days do you expect?
I don't have a number for you. I wouldn't want to guess.
Okay, other questions? We have a few more minutes. Come back to you, Deborah, if I may.
Just in terms of impact on wildlife, you have fish, birds, other marine life. Have there been any casualties that have been detected?
Sure, it's a great question. As of yesterday, there's been approximately, I believe the number was 14 fish deaths that were observed. And then we did find one turtle yesterday. It was a red-eared slider. And the reaction time to this unified command to bring in and activate the wildlife response assistance to focus on wildlife protection, or not protection, but the team that comes in and washes the oily ducts, that's the team that was activated. It was immediate. We got the notification, and before I could go from one floor to the second floor, the team was already en route to come help us.
And have they detected any more? Like
No, ma'am.
injured, coated?
No, ma'am. That's all that's been observed at this time.
14 dead fish, though, seems a little...
And it was also a concentrated area right off I believe it was right off the docks of the site. So it's close proximity to the incident.
No bird deaths?
No, ma'am.
Let me,
No, ma'am.
let me catch a question over here, and then we'll come back for a couple more.
Yes, this is specifically for ITC. County attorney just filed a lawsuit in this, and in it stating the health of Harris County residents is in danger, the residents in danger in many ways for several days. Do you have any response to that comment or the lawsuit itself?
Yeah, we don't comment on litigation. We just maintain our focus on our remediation and recovery process.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, I'll come back to you.
All
right, let's go.
Yes, sir. Just share some numbers about the claims and hotline numbers you have. How are they?
Yeah, as of today, we've had 2,500 calls into the claims line, and we have received approximately 500 written claims.
And what are those concerned mostly? Is it, I guess, lost work, trip to the doctor for the claim?
I can't comment on the details of each one. My job is to get the recovery process completed.
I have two quick questions. First one's for the Coast Guard. What are the restrictions on the opening of the ship channel right now? I know you said only daylight. Is like all the ships that are kind of stacked up, just kind of waiting to get through there, are all of those ships kind of being let through during daylight?
So I talked briefly about that port coordination team. So those that industry stakeholders and port partners, and everybody has a voice at the table. And basically, if you've got a barge or a tug or a deep draft vessel, that's being vetted through that port coordination team. They're making priorities to make sure the right products get to the right place at the right time until we can have that full opening.
Perfect. And then my second question is for the mayor. Just in terms of the residents of Deer Park, they're all worried about what's being released, what's going on, and they've been commenting to us. What message would you have for them, and what message would you have for the many people that are making those claims to ITC that live in your city?
Well, to reiterate stuff I've said earlier in the incident, I live in Deer Park. Any of these concerns are valid. We're taking them serious, which is why we're continuing to stay on top of the monitoring to ensure public safety.
And could you address my earlier question where exactly, where's the starting and ending point on that 5 mile?
So I believe on the upstream side, I don't have the exact terminology since I'm not local. It's just a little bit upstream from where we're at, and I know that we have impacts at least as far as, I think it's called Bosco.
Okay, I want to make sure I get them back to the response effort. Do we have maybe 1 or 2 more questions? I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to come back here, okay?
Yeah, Captain, I just want to be clear. If to reopen the ship channel to normal traffic, there need to be no evidence of contamination on a regular basis, I guess, of the ships, and then 2, you'd have to get the responders out of the area. Is that correct? Or?
Well, right now we're able to move traffic while there's responders in the area, but some of that we slow the vessels down to make sure they're not getting waked and that sort of thing. But you're spot on. That's what we're going to look for. No more contamination. We're not going to make any more impact on the environment. And as soon as we can open the ship channel full traffic, we will.
Thank you, Kip.
Okay. Final question.
For the Coast Guard as well, how many vessels do you think are parked out there waiting to get in?
So latest number I had was 103 when generally we have about 50. So, but we were able to move some of that traffic through yesterday, and then we'll move more through today. So I expect that number to go down.
Okay, that was kind of a surprise
Are those
question.
inbound bridges?
They're inbound waiting for, yes.
103.
Yes, sir.
For ITC, the county is now investigating whether the facility had all its proper floodplain permits, and that they are investigating whether there may have been some unpermitted structures on the property. Your response to that?
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to comment on that right now, on an active investigation.
Okay, I'm going to say thank you. Some of the information officers will remain around. If you have additional questions, we'll take those and respond back to you. Thank you. Any additional questions?
Not at the moment. I think that's all right. I haven't been back in the office. I haven't been able to refill, but I can give you my phone number.
Name, address, email.